Today I want to introduce the concept of blockchain for business. Now, blockchain was first introduced by Satoshi Nakamoto when he introduced Bitcoin. Bitcoin was specifically created as an attempt to solve the double spend problem that had existed actually since the 1970s. Digital currencies were thought of and worked on for a very long time, and the challenge with the double spend issue was, how do we make a network hardened in such a way that an actor cannot or is physically not able to go and spend the same coin in two different places? So the challenge with Bitcoin was to figure that out, and Satoshi Nakamoto was the first to do it. Now, Satoshi Nakamoto is an acronym for either a group of people or a single person. It was a screen name at the time, and we really haven't identified who Satoshi is. But the technology that he created has been revolutionary. And I can't emphasize that enough, because the underlying blockchain technology that is used for Bitcoin has now been adapted to many, many different uses. Most notably, it has been introduced to business, and business has taken the reins of it and moved it forward. Now, Bitcoin as it currently exists, it has a consensus method, that method to make sure that there's not the double spend problem and not a problem with each transaction, make sure they're all valid transactions. That consensus method is very heavy. It is called a proof of work consensus method. And what you have is multiple computers competing to solve a hash problem in order to have the right to close the block and get the reward. And by doing so, putting forth that work, it allows the network to be hardened against other nefarious actors. So that heavyweight method does not have to be employed in business, because business would then give access to known actors who have a known purpose for being part of the network. And having it be a known purpose part and be part of the network, you don't have to have this heavyweight consensus method. And so what happens is blockchains are very fast. They can do a lot of transactions, while Bitcoin is fairly limited as to the number of transactions that it can perform. So blockchains for business are incredibly fast. What they can do then is save a ton of time, because what you can do is, on those transactions, you put code behind them, smart contracts. Those smart contracts allow those transactions to occur, and with those transactions comes the validation, and they're put in the blocks and it moves on. Now, so they save the business quite a lot of time. Mainly because they don't have to keep validating and revalidating. Here's the concept. Prior to blockchain and prior to computing systems, you had to validate groups of transactions with paperwork. So the paperwork had to come to a certain person, it had to get a signature, it had to then be routed to the next person, and on and on. Well, with the computer system, that was made more efficient, but there was a lot of touch labor involved with the computer system when it was just a relational database behind it. Well, with blockchains and smart contracts, a lot of that third-party intermediary steps are taken care of, in the respect that the smart contract is coded with the validations that need to take place, and all the information requirements are all put in the smart contract, and if all those are met, it moves on to the next step without having to have an individual person as intermediary. So they save a lot of time. They've changed that trust model, because once you validate that the smart contract is doing the right kind of job for you, you don't have to revisit that constantly. So you can put your trust, instead of in an individual, you can put your trust in the blockchain coding to perform those menial tasks that an individual would do. So because of that, they reduce overhead. Those people that were once pushing paper around can go do more valuable tasks. They reduce risk, because all of those transactions then are distributed, because of the way blockchain works, are distributed amongst the nodes of the people that run the blockchain on the network. So you might have several players who run full nodes, and each of those nodes have a full copy of the data that's underlying. So by distributing the data, you have automatic redundancy, and you have a lot of safety in and reduced risk in that process. So some people actually believe that blockchain could be more powerful than the introduction of the internet in the 1990s. Now, back then, before the internet was introduced, you went to a retail store, you purchased, and you came back. The ease today of being able to sit down to your computer, find the price that you want with the vendor that you want, place the order, put in your credit card, and feeling secure about all those transactions has been a boon to the retail industry, at least the online retail industry. It's morphed our economy from all retail in brick and mortar type shops to a hybrid of a lot of online shops versus a lot of on ground or brick and mortar type businesses. So that really transformed our economy. Well, blockchain really has the ability to transform the economy in a similar way. As more and more companies start putting their data in a blockchain rather than in relational databases, and that blockchain can be secured and shared among several, it lowers the cost of all the transactions. It can help meet regulatory demands, such as the need to know where food is coming from, for example. So the IBM Food Trust blockchain that several big name companies have joined, like Walmart and Golden State Foods, to give you a couple. It's really, really important to them, for them to know where their data is coming from, where their food is coming from. And the blockchain allows them to source it straight back to where the food has come from. And we'll talk a lot more about that in future videos. They can manage a large number of transactions because they don't have the heavyweight proof of work type of consensus method. And it has transaction transparency. So those people that are permitted to view the blockchain can see all the data that pertains to their transactions and what information is necessary for them to run their business. So you can see that there's a lot of territory to cover with blockchain for business. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and this channel will promote a lot of different examples of companies that have made a lot of really innovative progress in the blockchain world, and frankly, in their new business models. So if you like what you saw here, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you again later. Thanks.